with the Bolsheviks, they're enemies who vote for it. Open up the border, let the boats with the homeless in. Never trust a commie. Never trust a commie. Never trust a commie. Let's congratulate Mr. Mandami. Never trust the communists. Never trust the promises. If you vote for it, you won't forget the consequence. Never trust the communists. Never trust the promises. If you vote for it, you won't forget the consequence. Cheers to the champagne socialists. No regret when they vote them in. So intense when they sow this in. Bodies on the floor, they don't notice them. None of you heard about the gulag stop for their food farms barred in the gulags. The train left the station with a choo-choo. Nothing worse than a smile when they shoot you. Never trust a commie. Never trust a commie. Never trust a commie. Let's congratulate Mr. Mamdani. Never trust the communists. Never trust the promises. If you vote for it, you won't forget the cons. Never trust the communists. Never trust the promises. If you vote for it, you won't forget the cons.
Happy Friday, people. I hope that all of you have had quite a Friday. It's been a very, very busy Friday for me. My day started at 3 a.m. I had a nice long commute down to Coney Island sector of Brooklyn. And I had to actually be at work today at 6 a.m. And first time that has happened in quite some time. It is currently storming here in the suburbs of New York City. And I am coming to you live on a Friday night because today is my birthday. I turned 44 years of age tonight, and it is truly a blessing. The Lord's been good to me. And before I go any further, I would like to, well, just share the show. I know this is a bit of a surprise. I've had a lot of posts go viral today. Well, somewhat viral today. I've been speaking a lot about the Carmelo with a K situation. There's been so much fallout from that, and it's actually been quite sad. To watch as so many Black people have just seemingly lost their minds. They've completely lost it. I was thinking about this today. It's like Black folk, matter of fact, I made a video earlier where it's like Black folk went from that went from white people are racist, please stop killing us, to white people are racist, so now we're going to kill you. That's basically what this has been. This is what has been happening. And tonight on this special stream, I wanted to do a reading of a piece that has actually meant a lot to me and is very it's very relevant, I think, to with everything that's been happening. And also I want to give a quick shout to the US men's national team, who actually will be kicking off their World Cup bid at 9 a.m. Eastern. So I'll be hopefully stopping around then, depending on how we go here. But yeah, tonight I'm actually going to be reading. This is the Apostate Radio reading room. This is our second episode. And once again, please, if you are out there, please share the show, share this stream out with your friends. Let people know what we're doing here. We are actually quite close to becoming eligible for super chats. As of today, we have 729 subscribers. We're approaching 750 quite steadily. And to qualify for super chats, you have to have 3,000 valid public watch hours. And we are currently sitting on 2,948. So we're getting there. We are almost there. And I want to thank y'all for joining, for your continued support. It is my birthday, so also in the top left corner of your screen is the Apostate Radio, is a QR code for the Apostate Radio Venmo. Please, if you feel so inclined, please make sure you tap that and just support us here at Apostate Radio. Flying solo tonight, Nino is actually watching the World Cup somewhere in the land of Pete. Shout to Nino Sabio and his beautiful family. I love you. I love y'all, and can't wait to link back up with you again soon. So let's get to this. Why would I read this particular piece? Well, a lot of you don't know about this piece. I'll just go ahead and say it. This is John Ridley's epic post piece from 2006. The title was quite controversial, and the actual piece itself is even more controversial. I don't know how many people actually ever read this post, this piece rather. This was written in pre-Twitter days. So I don't know how many people actually read this. It was probably in print. But it's an important piece because it shows how the struggles we have dealt with in terms of race hustling, lies, and general bullshit that have been used that have been used to advance certain leftist elements of Black culture, such that it is. They're not new. They're not new. The Carmelo with a K Anthony situation, to watch all of these grifters just come out of the woodwork, up to and including the little fucker's own parents, who managed to grift about close to $700,000 out of this situation. This is a very important read, and it helps to understand that this is not new. Race hustlers and grifters and shitheels have always been among us. And John Ridley, who was a big time writer in Hollywood, I don't know if he still is. He did the show. He wrote the show American Crime on ABC a few years ago. He's the one who wrote the piece where he excoriated Barack Obama and referred to him as he was the first one to refer to him as a quote unquote magic Negro. And I thought I read that piece. That was actually quite a piece. But this piece in particular in Esquire ruffled a lot of feathers in the black collectivist community. The title of this piece is called "The Manifesto of Ascendancy for the Modern American Nigger." Oh, yeah, we are going there tonight. We are going there tonight. Because it's time. Yeah, it's time. It's time for us to. For years we've had people, the same like usual suspects have told us constantly that we need to have a quote unquote honest conversation about race. Every other day they're talking about this. Every other day they're saying that, America has to have a reckoning with its racist past, and y'all need to give us reparations and all this other bullshit. Just the usual thing. And every time you ask these people, well, what are your solutions? They never have any. They have never. I'll never forget when I asked a question of this communist little fairy, Michael Denzel Smith, who at the time was writing for The Nation. I remember asking him like about 12 years ago. I asked him, what are your solutions? And this fucking twink basically said, oh, well, it's not my job to come up with solutions. That's for white people. Oh, so you niggas can just complain and complain and complain and complain about everything that goes wrong in the community. But yet, when it comes to actually saying what it is that you want, you want to leave that to white people. You want to leave that to the oppressors that you hate so much. Again, this isn't new. None of this is new. You had Aaron Magruder, the creator of the Boondocks comic strip, and also the incredible animated series on Adult Swim. 2004, he was talking about how time's up. That black culture, that the era of the YN that was just in its infancy 20 years ago, like all this is going to come to an end. The moral capital that blacks have had for many, many years since the civil rights era it's gone. But John Ridley decided, in this particular piece, he was just like, you know what? He just took a sledgehammer to all of it. So without further ado, folks, John Ridley, the Manifesto of Ascendancy for the Modern American Nigger. Here we go. I'll read the subtext first. For 11 days in 2001, 2 blacks ran our country. It's their example and their achievement, and not the culture of failure fomented by the leftovers of the movement, that must set a new agenda for Black Americans. Here we go. Published November 29th of 2006. Let me tell you something about niggers, the oppressed minority within our minority. Always down, always out, always complaining that they can't catch a break. Notoriously poor about doing for themselves. Constantly in need of a leader, but unable to follow in any direction that's navigated by hard work, self-reliance. And though they spliff and drink and procreate their way onto welfare doles and wick lines, niggers will tell you their state of being is no fault of their own. They are not responsible for their nearly 5% incarceration rate and their 9.2% unemployment rate. And those were 2006 numbers. Not responsible for the 11.8% rate at which they drop out of high school, for the 69.3% of births they create out of wedlock. And again, I just want to, break in here and remind everyone that these are 2006 numbers that Mr. Ridley was quoting here. Continuing on. Now, let me tell you something about my generation of Black Americans. We are the inheritors of the deal, forced upon the entrenched white social, political, and legal establishment when my parents' generation won the struggle for civil rights. The deal? We, blacks, take what is rightfully ours, and you, the aforementioned establishment, get citizens who will invest the same energy and dedication into raising families and working hard and being all around good people as was invested in snapping the neck of Jim Crow. In the, now 60 years since the deal was brokered, since the Voting Rights Act was signed, there have been successes for blacks. But there are still too many blacks in prison, too many kids aggrandizing the thug life, and way too many African Americans doing far too little with the opportunities others earned for them. You see this all the time in New York City streets. You see this all the time when, I know I mentioned this a few hours ago. You had a situation where a 41-year-old father of 7 was murdered in the Bronx on a BX 36 bus. His crime, thank you, Bobby B. Please let everybody know that what we have going on here. I'm doing a birthday stream, and everyone is invited. So please make sure everybody knows about it. Gentleman by the name of Jonathan Pettigrew, 41 years old, a father of 7, and his kids were just orphaned earlier this week because some dirtbag, some piece of shit, some mentally disordered piece of shit decided he won. He said he wasn't going to deal with somebody enforcing some boundaries, because he was arguing loudly, and this mongrel was arguing loudly into his phone, and Pettigrew told him, "Yo, like, chill." And this little bastard took out a gun and shot him. And ran off the bus like a bitch. 7 kids, 7 children now have no father. That's aggrandizing the thug life. That's what that is. Continuing. If we as a race could win a centuries-long war against institutionalized racism, why is it that so many of us cannot secure the advantage after decades of freedom? This next part is what is what has stuck with me for so many years. That which retards us is the worst of us. Those who disdain actual ascendancy gained by way of intellectual expansion and a physical toil, who instead value the posture of an urban, a street, a real existence, no matter that such a culture threatens to render them extinct. Them being niggers. As many people, thank you, Bobby B, appreciate it. As many people who have been indeed have been trying to keep it real out here when it comes to the Carmelo Anthony situation. Y'all wanted to keep it real. Y'all wanted to kill that boy. Y'all celebrated Austin Metcalf's murder at the hands of Carmelo Anthony. Y'all think you were being personally disrespected. And it's sickening. And there's a rainbow outside. An actual, wow. There's a close rainbow too. But yeah. And Uncle Ruckus was right all along, soundbite. Yeah. I mean, that was the whole thing. Carmelo Anthony killed Austin Metcalf because he felt disrespected. That's the real, that's the real thing. That's the real reason. Fuck a tap on the shoulder. Carmelo Anthony felt disrespected. And to niggas trying to keep up that street life, that right there is an attack. That right there is assault. That requires self-defense. And the degree of self-defense doesn't matter. Continuing. I have no qualm about using the word nigger. It is a word. It is in the English lexicon, and no amount of political correctness, no amputation into the N word, as if by the castration of a few letters we should then be able to conceptualize its meaning without feeling its sting, will remove it from reality. I think a lot about a past guest that we had on our show, Matthew Mastronardi. That passage, that particular paragraph made me think of him. Matthew Mastronardi, and shout to the young man. That brother lost his entire teaching career because he simply wrote out N with the rest of the letters like in asterisks or something. He censored the N word and still lost his job. because that's the era that we live in. That's the era in which we live in. So, oh, babe, you might want to look out the window. Let me see here. So I say this. It is time for ascended blacks to wish niggers good luck. Just as whites may be concerned with the good of all citizens, but don't travel their days worrying specifically about the well-being of hillbillies from Appalachia, we need to send niggers on their way. We need to start extolling the most virtuous of ourselves. It is time to celebrate the new Black Americans, those who have sealed the deal, who aren't beholden to liberal indulgence any more than they are to the disdain of the hard right. Looking at you, you punk-ass groypers out there. It is time to praise blacks who are merely undeniable in their individuality and exemplary in their levels of achievement. This means, look, when it comes to individuality, you'll often hear, like leftists of most persuasions, they love that line that Barack Obama threw out there a few years ago, where he was like, well, you didn't build that. We was talking to small businesses and people with successful small businesses, you didn't build that. You had help. And it's wrong for you to, want to hoard your success for everyone else. You want to hoard your success and keep it from everyone else. You don't want to pay your fair share in taxes. You don't want to fund our little pet social programs, and that makes you selfish. That's the left. That's the left. That's always been the left. They're doing it right now with Elon Musk. They're doing it right now with Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the world's first trillionaire. The world's very first trillionaire. And instead of celebrating this remarkable achievement, the usual suspects are in this motherfucker talking about how, you need to let's make him the last trillionaire. Let me just type in here. Yeah. Y'all want to make, he's like the last, he's the first millionaire. We need to make sure he's the last. Like, what the fuck? It's the politics of grievance. It's the politics of grievance. It's a politics of just nastiness. The politics of, you didn't build that. And since you didn't build that, it is our responsibility. We must take what you didn't build from you. And this is how it is with them. Leftists are the most jealous bunch. Absolutely. Jumbie, thank you for joining us. Mr. Beck, good to see you, sir, and thank you. Thank you so much. Envy, that's absolutely right. It is, so I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna keep going because I do want to clarify one thing, because I don't want to. I want to make sure that Matt Van Swole gets credit for I want to send a shout out to him because he was a white person. He is a white person who actually went out to Appalachia. after the Biden auto pen administration and every single white liberal who within Biden's orbit all abandoned the Appalachians when that big storm rolled through. I can't remember the name of it, but it's crazy. It's crazy how that it was Helene. It was Hurricane Helene. It blew through the Appalachians, and they were prepared to disenfranchise them people, to keep them from voting Trump out there in western North Carolina and eastern Tennessee. Yeah. So this doesn't apply necessarily to all white people worrying about Appalachian. We got to look out for Appalachian brothers, honestly. Appalachian brothers and sisters. But overall, and this is the one thing that the Groypers have forgotten about, we are all individuals at the end of the day. So if you want to go ahead and be like, well, y'all are all the same and it's too late, we're going to treat you all like shit, you don't talk to your own culture. Listen, it's not my job no more. It's not my job. When it comes to creating culture, when it comes to making change, the only thing that I can do is make change. Only thing you can do really is make change in your own life for your own people. If you have a family, it is your duty to be there for them. Change the culture in your own family. Model the behavior you want to see. Model the behavior in your children. That's what you have to do. You create strong individuals within your families. That's why communists always go after the nuclear family first. Well, amongst the first. Continuing. Let's scroll down a little more. This then is how the praise begins. We need to burn into our collective memory the event that marked the beginning of our new timeline, an event from early in this millennium that seemed, for its moment in time, auspicious, but that is now all but forgotten. It was lost in the ash of fires and over the Rhine, buried in the rubble of 9/11. But I will not let it go. I for one will not let it go. Won't let it get dumped into a potter's field of U.S. politics. It was far too important, far too significant. It was 11 days when two blacks ran America, and neither one of them was Barack Obama. Here we go. If the situation were just slightly altered, Condoleezza Rice might have been and would have made a better Mrs. George W. Bush than the current Mrs. George W. Bush. Same as George, Condi's politics are right. Her worldview is faith-based, courtesy of her Reverend Pops. A protege of Brent Scowcroft's, she served as a special assistant for national security affairs to George H.W. Bush, so she was pre-approved by Dad. And should anyone posit that a woman of color would not be welcome to Thanksgiving dinner in Kennebunkport, well, Bush brother Jeb had married himself a minority, so even that trail was previously blazed. But for GB II, much to his credit, his interest in Condi was less about her being a woman, let alone a black woman, and more about her being an accomplished individual. And Dr. Condi is accomplished as hell. A PhD in poli-sci from the University of Denver, former provost of Stanford, At 35, barely a kid in Washington years, she was a staffer at the National Security Council. She came onto the foreign policy train wreck that was the early days of G.W. Bush's 2000 campaign, helped mold his malapropism afflicted worldview into a demi-coherent one. After the certification of Bush's election, Dr. Condi got herself easily appointed as National Security Advisor. First, all the way around. Now, for those of you who don't know what malapropism means, malapropism is the mistaken use of an incorrect word in place of a similar sounding word. It typically creates a nonsensical or humorous phrase. Oh, that was that George. Yeah, George W. was famous for those. Fucking neocon. But anyways, but yes, Condoleezza Rice is like objectively one of the most intelligent black women walking the fucking planet. When I tell you this lady, a lot of people don't like her politics, which I don't give a shit about anymore. But the thing about Condi Rice is that this woman is literally, she's what Democrats think Hillary Clinton is. Yeah, I said it. In terms of foreign policy, in terms of qualifications and what she could do. God damn, I mean, she was incredible. It'd be amazing to see what her and Marco Rubio could do. That'd be interesting to me anyway. Continuing, Black America should have been singing hosannas, but Condi was Republican, so never mind. Never mind, she'd spent a lifetime facing down racism. Born in Birmingham at the peak of race hate, Condi was a schoolmate of Denise McNair, one of the 4 little girls bombed to death in September of 1963 at the 16th Street Baptist Church. Niggers and old school shines couldn't abide her. Same as with Clarence Thomas, they let her politics obfuscate her accomplishments. They stamped her not officially black. Bloggers tagged her a, quote, Sally Hemings for the 21st century. For those of you who don't know who Sally Hemings is, Sally Hemings is the Sally Hemings was a slave inherited by Thomas Jefferson. I'm going to this right here. Sally Hemings was the daughter of John Wales, a white slave master, and Elizabeth Hemings is biracial slave. When John Wales died, his daughter, Martha Wales Jefferson, inherited his slaves, including Sally, who was an infant as part of her inheritance. After Martha's death, Thomas Jefferson, who promised his wife he would never remarry, had a long-term relationship with Sally. He fathered 6 children with Sally Hemings, of which 4 lived to adulthood. And, oh my God, it's easy to see why. Quite beautiful. Quite beautiful. But anywho, the fact that, but I want y'all to think about this for a second. Leftists decided to focus on the most negative aspects of that relationship, and they fetishize leftists fetishize Sally Hemings all the time, but the worst elements of that relationship flip the races, and it's Condi Rice who's the new Sally Hemings for George W. Bush. Well, no, actually, no, you don't flip the races. It's disgusting. You thought? Oh, y'all think the Uncle Tom chants and the Sambos and the butter biscuits are bad? Oh shit! They got rowdy back in the day. Continuing. Bloggers tagged Condi Rice say Sally Hemings for the 21st century. Left-leaning pundits smeared her with the slurs Aunt Jemima and brown sugar. Julian Bond reaching deep into the old school bag of tricks. That the now late Julian Bond, one of the founders of the Southern Poverty Law Center. Paying white supremacists to perpetuate white supremacy. Tried to turn, let me see, Julian Bond reaching deep into the old school bag of tricks, turned to rhyme to asperse Dr. Rice's authenticity. Just because they are your skin folks doesn't mean they're your kin folks. Now, I find that so funny, especially after today. Because, see, if you notice, all day long, we've been for the last couple days, since the Carmelo Anthony verdict came down, we've been hearing from people all day long about how you need to stand with your people. Black folk need to stand together against these white people, against these evil ass white people. Y'all, like, it's all day. It's been all day with it for the last 2 days. And y'all come together. Y'all always want to come together over bullshit. Carmelo Anthony was found guilty in a court of law. People are silent about it. The usual suspects. It's only the worst of the fucking grifters in the mainstream who are even dipping their toe into these waters when it comes to Carmelo with a K. Anthony, because they know that they know what he did. Mr. Beck says tribalism is evil. Absolutely. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is evil. It's foul as shit. I am under, just so we're clear, as a black man, right? I am under no obligation to defend your foul fucking behavior just based solely on this. Are we clear? Just because I might have the same or a little bit more melanin in my skin as opposed to yours does not mean that we got to stand in solidarity over bullshit. I'm not standing with you for when you want this little bastard who killed a 17-year-old boy who was simply enforcing the boundaries that had already existed. Carmelo Anthony, Carmelo with a K, woke up that morning wanting to kill a white boy. And he did it. And y'all want us, because we black, to simply stand with our people just to be there as another black body. Fuck you. Because right is right and wrong is wrong. And y'all are dead fucking wrong. Y'all, Let me get back to this reading. Continuing. Scroll down here. Ooh, cute. Then they went back to entertaining themselves with another Wayans Brothers movie. Anyway, as NSA and Confidant Dr. Condi was with Bush and the real Mrs. Bush as they took some time with an old Yale buddy at Camp David on the last weekend in March of 2001. 9:15 p.m. on the 31st, they got the call. A U.S. EP-3E signals recon plane had literally gotten into a tangle with a People's Liberation Army, read that, Chinese, J-8 interceptor jet off the coast of China. The Chinese jet got shredded by the EP-3E's propeller. The American plane with a crew of 24 was badly damaged. The Chinese jet went down, pilot most likely killed. The U.S. pilot did better, managed to land the FUBAR American plane, but he landed the plane on the island of Hainan, Chinese territory. And the Chinese claimed that the Americans had been spying over what were sovereign waters. And the Chinese claimed the plane had landed without permission and its taillights were out. Now, just to give you an understanding, Mr. Durkhan, good evening. Thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate you. Share the show. Share the show. It's a one-man show tonight. And please make sure to hit that the QR code in the top right, in the top left corner of the screen. This is a birthday reading room stream. Usually I don't do this kind of thing, but I figured I'd try something different, so here we are. For those of you who aren't familiar with where Hainan is, I'm going to pull it up. All right, Hainan is an island and is the southern, let me see, Hainan is an island and the southernmost province of China, consisting of the eponymous Hainan Island and various smaller islands in the South China Sea. It is it's right there in the South China Sea. It's right close to Vietnam. It's even further south than Hong Kong, which is interesting. So Hainan is big. It's big. It's definitely a big place to go down with an American spy plane. Lots of trouble there, potentially. So it's good. It's good to know this kind of context. From the get, this was stacking up to be a slightly dicey situation. China being in possession of 24 American servicemen and women and one of our top tier surveillance planes. And the appropriate U.S. spokespeople went out of their way to note that it was a surveillance plane, not a spy plane. The People's Republic wasn't exactly our enemy, but it was hardly our close bud either. Coming into the White House following the domestic Chinese spy scandal scare of the late 90s, Bush had shifted the rhetoric regarding China, had dropped the Clinton-era designation of China as a strategic partner for the tough talk appellation of strategic competitor. The actual meaning of strategic competitor, no one in the administration has ever tried to explain, but it struck the appropriately tough talk chord in the new president's neoconservative base. Though such tough talk ignored the fact that China was a major trading partner that was doing $116 billion in annual business with the U.S. in millennium dollars. Mind you, ladies and gentlemen, that this was the beginning. This was at like the latest stage of deindustrialization here in the United States. We were doing all that business with China. And meanwhile, you had steel mills and other manufacturing that just dipped, just left. All these companies figured, well, we can get it done cheaper. The globalization of the economy, so to speak. That's what was going on here, right? So, of course, $116 billion, that was 25 years ago. Continuing. So then here was the crux of Bushco's first international incident, pre-9/11. Having swung his meat at China, Bush now very much had to be diplomatically shrewd while looking domestically strong in dealing with our strategic competitor. This clearly required high-mindedness. Bush turned the situation over to the highest mind on his team, Dr. Condi. Made sense. Condi was a Russia expert. Wasn't this Hainan incident just some modern day old school commie nonsense? But that decision, right and plain as it seemed, set up the real conflict of the event. That conflict would not turn out to be the obvious one, U.S. versus China. It would be us, elevated blacks, versus them. Those who not only hold little regard for people of color, but who wish to make niggers of us all. Yeah. You black, you ain't supposed to, you a black man. You not supposed to vote for these people. Trump is evil. I gotta replay that video and show y'all what I had to deal with earlier this week. Dick Cheney, let's talk about this. Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld are old school relics, political leftovers of the Nixon Ford years. They are the retro guard, sporting metaphorical wide ties emblematic of the 72 landslide. To appease the base, Bush had given such men seats at his otherwise progressive table. Wedging them in created multiple fractures across the administration. From the jump, it would be the old against the new, war hawks against moderates, those who thought the republic was best governed in secrecy and shadow against those who recalled that the preamble to the Constitution is we the people, not us the government. The administration was a case study in unified independence, a group working toward separate objectives rather than individuals working as a team. That is certainly not the case these days. Cheney and Rumsfeld fronted the hard line of the Hainan incident, the cadre who saw little to no value in talk and diplomacy and wanted to get with the figurative nuclear option quick as possible. It was again such a mindset as much as the Chinese government that Condi would have to navigate. But she would not have to wield her intellect solo. Colin Powell was the undisputed superstar of American politics. Yes, indeed. I remember when he ran for president. His bona fides, undeniable. Service in Nam, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, part of the team that cruised to victory in Gulf War I, author of the Powell Doctrine, which states that overwhelming force makes an enemy your biatch. When he quit the military, real quick, Powell became the get. Both parties wanted to snag him, wag him from their standard. Powell went right. Predictably, niggers immediately abandoned him. How could any self-respecting black man want to run from the liberal plantation? Never mind that he was a self-made modern American hero who openly espoused the value of affirmative action. Old schoolers tagged Powell with the usual left-wing racist jabber. Powell was a sellout. Tom. In a particularly ugly rant, Harry Belafonte infamously alluded to Powell as being a house nigger. At every opportunity, Powell was hit up with the invectives. Powell was hit up with the invectives reserved for black men who succeed by way of intelligence and hard work. How ironic that while the left attempted to subjugate Powell with the bullwhip of liberal racism, Bush, who later would be accused by Kanye West of hating blacks, somehow managed to see in Powell a sovereign black man. As Secretary of State in GWB's first term, Powell would spearhead communications with China during the Hainan incident, while Rice would be the conduit through which all information would flow to the president. Dr. Condi and Collin. The administration went into the Hainan situation thinking the China incident would go down like this. We make denials, they make demands. There's a shadow deal that gets us back our boys and toys in exchange for some tractors and a few bushels of wheat. But this wasn't 1957. The Chinese weren't a superpower dying on the vine. They were more concerned about getting their international propers than they were about quid pro quo. And respect had been a long time coming from the U.S. Most Chinese citizens recall George H.W. Bush being an apologist for the Deng regime after the Tiananmen Square crackdown. And then there was us dropping a bomb right down the Chinese embassy smokestack in Belgrade during the air war over Kosovo. And there was that strategic partner, strategic competitor thing. But Dr. Condi and Collin surmised that all China was looking for was some contrition, a little humility. Secure in the knowledge that offering regret is different from taking blame, they figured they could show some remorse for the Chinese pilot without turning all of America into a weak sister weeping like she just messed her best Sunday dress. Just give them my bad and get the crew home. Dr. Condi and Collin would not immediately get the chance to test their strategy. And Mr. Durkan says, I recall this. Yeah, we're bringing back memories tonight. We're bringing back some. And the thing was, further up in the piece, Ridley said that he didn't want this to get lost in. He didn't want this to get lost in lost in history, but it did. Because think about this. All this started on March 31st. Oh no! Oh, I wish I hadn't seen that. Oh no. That's unfortunate, man. Oh, hold on. If you're in New York City, I've got some sad news to relay from about an hour ago. Let me just share this real quick. Yeah, this sucks. For those of you who were born and raised, or at least lived here in New York, for any amount of time in the downstate region, you would know who Bill Ritter is from ABC7. Long time anchor for the for really all of Eyewitness News' 4, 5, and 6 o'clock hours. Been with the TV station, the local TV station here for years. And unfortunately, according to ABC7 themselves, beloved WABC anchor Bill Ritter steps away from the anchor desk, revealing an Alzheimer's diagnosis. Jeez. Oh, that sucks. I want to offer, I know he'll probably never see this, but I do want to quickly offer my prayers and condolences for Mr. Bill Ritter. The man, regardless of if you like his politics or not, the man is a New York City institution, Bill Ritter. And any Alzheimer's or any dementia diagnosis of any kind is it's a really sad day. Alzheimer's is a cruel fucking disease, a cruel fucking illness in which the mind just forgets. The mind forgets. You eventually, you know, Alzheimer's, you forget names, you forget faces. And in the later stages, you eventually just forget how to breathe. You forget how to eat. You forget how to drink. It's a cruel illness. Cruel illness. So yes, prayers up for Bill Ritter and his family of WABC, Eyewitness News Channel 7 here in New York. We appreciate you, and I particularly appreciate you for all your years of service, sir. So there's that. Okay, let's get back to this. 48 hours. Let me get this back here. 48 hours after the American plane went down, after just 2 days of silence from China, the far-right hardliners lost whatever patience they owned. What little confidence they had that Rice and Powell could end the situation quickly dissipated like a brief bad smell. Diplomacy was boring and time-consuming and rarely came with the requisite display of machismo. Though delicatesse was the smarter play over sanctions, all the retro guard cared about was keeping Bush, just 12 weeks in Washington, from looking like Jimmy Carter on, say, day 239 of 444 of the that Iranian hostage thing. Sabers got rattled. Tact got kicked to the curb. Cheney stomped around Washington. Well, this was clearly before he was confined to a wheelchair. And doing a public nix on anything expressing a regret. Insisted being American meant never having to say you're sorry. Illinois Representative Henry Hyde, devourer of children, that one, he passed away many years ago, who was chairman of the House International Relations Committee, referred to the U.S. crew as hostages, which put an ugly public spin on the benign truth, was consciously counter to Powell's assessment that the crew was merely being detained. Bush, feeling the pressure to back up all his pre-election rhetoric, flinched or blinked in the pop culture sense of making a quick decision based on suspect intelligence. In a Rose Garden appearance, a hardened Bush excoriated the Chinese for not doing, quote, the right thing. Insisted that, quote, now it is time for our servicemen and women to return home. These were politically cold assertions. The hollaback was equally frosty. A day later, Chinese President Jiang Zemin finally responded. Zemin wanted nothing less than total kowtowing, wanted the U.S. to bear all responsibilities for its collision. Wanted an apology. Wanted concessions, wanted the U.S. to quit its spy flights along the China coast forever. And it got real clear the circumstances might not now resolve themselves in a timely manner. Just a few words choreographed to create some tough guy theatrics from Bush, and the situation had devolved from incident to standoff. and the loud-voiced whispers as to whether Bush had what it took to be a world leader began. Diplomacy was needed, smarts, intellect, and canny. Bush made another decision. No blink involved. As the Washington Post reported, the way forward was made emphatic to all concerned. No more useless posturing. No more independent unity. Cheney was sent out to stump for the tax cuts Bush was shilling, and while Rumsfeld claimed to support the shift toward democracy, truthfully, he was flatly told to butt out. Dr. Condi and Collin would be given free reign. Hey, what's going on? Heliodorus 04. Thank you. Sup, Apostates. What's good, bro? How are you? Great to see you all here. I mean, I wonder, I honestly wonder how many people actually know about the Hainan incident 25 years later. I can't imagine there's many people. I can't imagine there's too many people who know about that. But anyways, let me see here. Just checking on over on X real quick. Let me see. I think okay, that's fine. Let me see here. Well, I know you would. Mr. B, you don't forget anything. You don't forget much of anything, okay? I've seen your rack of books. You're one of the seriously, folks. And you'll probably see this on Tuesday when Billy joins us. He'll be joining us on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. You definitely want to check out that show. This guy has a book collection like you wouldn't fucking believe. And his guitar collection, from what I've seen, is a monster too. Heliodorus 04 says, you may know me from X. I'm third gen Army veteran. Thank you for your service, sir. Hua, as a fellow Army man, former Army man, and military history is sort of my study of history, sort of my area of study. I remember that incident. You know, I used to do border patrol on the East German border. Wow, you did? What was that like? And he answers the question. He answers my question right here before he said it wasn't too big of a deal. It wasn't too big a deal. Reminded me of when we had a dipshit enlisted retard who wanted out of the army and tried to cross into East Germany. Bro. Kilo Troop 311 armored cavalry in the Fulda Gap. Well, thank you for your service, sir. Greatly appreciate it. What did you finish as? What rank did you finish up as, Heliodorus? Really appreciate it. I gotta have you on the show one night. First ones under the treads. Absolutely. Heliodor says, yeah, we all had to go look. We all had to go look for some washout for a few days until the Russians gave him back, and then he went straight to jail. The Russians didn't want a defector. What a fucking loser that guy. Heliodor says, I was an E4 specialist. I was a 19 kilo M1 and M1A1 crew. Ooh, you worked on tanks. Nice. Very nice. God, you know what? I might have to have you on the show one day. Or maybe just do like a show like this where I just have you on and you share your stories. Yeah, he's like a E2 know nothing who's trying to end the Cold War, but he really just had mommy issues. Well, don't they all? I mean, it's kind of a requisite to be a fucking leftist these days. You gotta have some type of like dead ass, bro. You gotta have like some kind of fucking mommy wound to be a leftist. And unless you're willing to like really do the work, like a guy like Joshua Slocum of my dear friend, who I love immensely. Joshua Slocum, that guy has deep mommy wounds, but overcame them. And now he's the man of deep character and just a really, really strong dude. And and we love Joshua Slocum. Please go check out the Disaffected podcast on Sundays. My history is the reason I get such a kick out of your anti-communism rants on X. Thank you, brother. Well, really, though, thank you, sir. Listen, I know you're enlisted, but I'm pretty sure you are several years my senior. And I appreciate your service. I really do, sir. Let's get back to this. I'm really glad that I'm glad that at least that there are people who know what this is. And please tell your friends about this show. I've been going for a little over an hour. I'll go till about 10. Well, not 10. I'll go till about 9 p.m. So tell your friends about the show, and I really appreciate it. Drop something in the Apostate Radio Venmo if you feel so inclined. If you're having issues with it, please let me know. You can also just go to my tip jar on X. Still learning how to set up like dono goals, like donation goals on stream. Because I need a car. I need a car bad. It's been a bit of an ordeal to do this kind of long distance traveling with our precious public transit system. But it's all good. I'm not complaining, but I need a car. We need a car. Let me see. Dr. Condi and Colin will be given free reign. The moderates had won round 1 of the administration wars. And for the first time in the history of the U.S., a history of slavery, of abandoned Reconstruction, overt Jim Crow, and covert soft bigotry, a black woman and a black man were in the position of speaking for America to the world. We collectively, not just Black America, but all of America that truly bought into the bromides of liberty and justice for all, we had risen. The accomplishment was unmistakable. For 7 days running in the written press and the international media and doing the rounds in the 24/7 cable news meat grinder, it was Condi and Colin. They pulled the administration out of a retrograde dug hole, projected calm and rationality where just prior there was only ego. Sticking with their game plan to double team with poise and savoir-faire, they expressed regret over the loss of the Chinese pilot. Powell followed up his public statements with an international sympathy card sent to the Chinese, a regret letter of his own. Simultaneously, Condi counseled the president to display some humanity. Bush made a public statement that he was sending his prayers to the dead Chinese pilot and his family. Little gestures, big results. And that's all it takes, man. I find, let me just take just a quick break because my throat's a little dry and I want to make sure that I'm at full capacity for this. So I will be right back. Just give me, let me see. What can I play here? Oh, I can't. No. I can't play that one. Oh yeah, here we go. I've got so much of Logan Lansing's work here. Shout to Logan Lansing. We love that brother. Got to have him back on. But yeah, we'll play another one of his songs here, Toy Soldiers. Check this out.
They raided a church service, take the flamethrower, aim it and burn vermin. I have to abdicate my worst urges and purge my anger like a nerve surgeon in the third person. Leftists are upset, go figure. Possessed by demons and old fixtures, workers of the world unite. They feel it in their bones, blisters and stone slippers. So trigger with the fingers in the nose digging until the dome splinters, they're so bitter. Bang! Okay, snap out of it. Understand what happened, but don't back down again. They planned that attack, chose the target to get a reaction you won't get far with. They had professional cameras and Don mic'd up, shooting the action as the bombs fly down and the psalms fly shut. The dust settles and they're screaming banzai rush, while the audience pays in online blood. But the flock didn't buy it, didn't side with the violent. The ones online crying about how they would have stomped on Don and his fine friends. The left wants you emotional like them, easily manipulated like them, easily instigated right when the mic drops, the fight ends. Bent out of shape because a few leftists stole your vision and made the light bend in the bright red. I know we wanna fight back, wanna fall for the lie and tie brass around our knuckles with a left hook and a right jab. Let the sand fly with the nice gash and an eye black, but that is stepping onto their stage, onto their play, where you wear a comical face, becoming a very scary, ominous gaze that the audience at home sees flocking to flame. You're supposed to be angry, racist, Christians, bigots with ancient sacred systems on a mission to take your faith and myth and frame it in a way to make you the Richmond, North of Richmond. But we can't reject it, reject the frame and press them, stretch their patience, let their cadence reflect their hatred as we protect our faith and bless the nation as the audience weighs in, letting everyone see the left is where the blame is. But the flock didn't buy it, didn't side with the violent. The ones online crying about how they would have stomped on Don and his fine friends. The left wants you emotional like them, easily manipulated like them, easily instigated right when the mic drops, the fight ends. Bent out of shape because a few leftists stole your vision and made the light bend.
I'm back. Lovely rhythm, yes, indeed. And he also says, you know, I'm white and old and married, so hip hop and rap ain't my game really. But this is nice. I like the bell sound and the calm. I will be sure to pass that on to Logan. Logan, like I'm pretty sure you, like, if you follow me, I'm sure you follow James Lindsay at Conceptual James, and I'm pretty sure you follow Logan Lansing. Those two actually wrote a book together, which was fantastic. I really need to finally pick up a copy of that. But anyways, actually, that's what I wanted to do. I want to share this with. I want to share just. I want to share this show with one person. Let's see. Give me a second, because I want her to. I actually, I'm gonna tell you who I'm sending this to. I am sending this to Sarah Fields. This lady here is incredible. Sarah Fields is the one who's broken a lot of big stories and a lot of information on the whole Carmelo with a K situation. You should follow her. She's a great friend. I love her dearly. Congratulations. You again have been vindicated for all time now. Uh-oh. What is this? Oh, the straw fell into the bottle here. Pardon me a second, folks. Let's turn this camera off real quick. Hey, what? You know what? There we go. Okay, back. There, thank you. All right, so my apologies for that, folks. Let's see. Let's keep it going here. By Thursday, April 5th, the Chinese foreign ministry, if not quite ready to sing kumbayas, acknowledged the U.S.'s new moves were a, quote, step in the right direction. At the same time, Powell came up with another, stronger statement of lament regarding the Chinese pilot's death. And contrary to the Hawks' beliefs, the heavens didn't open and the stock market didn't drop and the commies weren't turning our wives and daughters into pleasure girls. But 24 servicemen and women were that much closer to coming home. So close, the scavengers could pick up the stink of imminent triumph. Around they came real late in the game, kind of like how they did game 3 of the NBA Finals, looking to gain some stature by glomming on to the accomplishments of others. Jesse Jackson, the now late Jesse Jackson, came knocking. Jesse Jackson, who, well, is at this, but this is a 20-year-old piece, who is president of the Rainbow Push Coalition. He put in a call to Powell offering help, offering to add a, quote, an ecumenical religious component to Powell's efforts. It was really just Jesse looking to shine up his image. It'd been just months since he'd been outed as having fathered a kid with the former head of the Rainbow Coalition's Washington, D.C. office, then given the girl tens of thousands from the Rainbow Push coffers as shut up, go away money. I'm not sure if that's the ecumenical religious component Jesse had wanted to add to the standoff. Powell smartly gave Jesse the go-by. Jesse and his old school ways, even if they hadn't been offered belatedly and with self-service, were of no use to the new Black American. Victory was at hand. The U.S. crewmen were just days and an official letter of regret to the Chinese government away from returning home. And you know that homecoming would have been filled with hoopla and pageantry. The retro guard would have to kneel before the superior intellect of the ascended Black. Likewise, the old school Negroes and their liberal masses would be forced to acknowledge the evolutionary brother and sister. When the images of that homecoming were played and played and played, from the morning empty chat shows through the nightly calls to Larry King and his first exclusive primetime interview with call-ins of the crew, all of America would see freedom was won by a Black man and a Black woman. They would have seen all that, except niggers fucked it up. Many such cases. Many, many such cases. The last thing recorded by the dash-mounted camera in the police cruiser was Officer Stephen Roach running across an intersection off Republic Street in Cincinnati. Then he enters an alley. Then you hear a shot being fired. Beyond that, all you can do is speculate and or take Roach's statements as to what led to Timothy Thomas's shooting death. What we know, white cop, Black kid, 19 years old, troubles with the law, 14 outstanding warrants, all misdemeanors. In the early morning hours of April 7th, 2001, Thomas was confronted by some cops looking to pop him for those warrants. Thomas ran, same as he'd run twice before when the cops were trying to pop him. Backup got called in. Roach was among them. Thomas wasn't armed. Roach had no way of knowing. All the cop knew was that he was doing a foot pursuit in what's plainly one of the most dangerous sections of Cincinnati, over the Rhine. Thomas headed down that dark alley, ordered to stop. He complied, made a sudden move for his waistband. Roach fired. Thomas took a single slug to the chest and died. 15 since 95 was the cry. Timothy Thomas being the 15th Cincinnati black man to die during an arrest or shortly after being apprehended by the cops. 15 since 95 was heard from local Blacktivists hot for justice. Blacktivists were a thing back in 2001, y'all, for whom vengeance by way of legal recourse would not do. The new Black Panthers. Some outfit called the Special Forces. Only thing special about them were the white-hating, Jew-hating rants they could call up at a moment's notice. And did so at a city council meeting they crashed at the day after Thomas got shot. Crashed it along with Thomas's moms and a couple hundred more whipped up locals of color. They showed up to talk with city officials. There was some white hating, some Jew hating, precious little talking. After 3 hours of contained ranting, the hating spilled out into the streets. Another 1,000 or so protesters got whipped up and swept along as the Blacktivists made their way to the Cincy Police HQ. More screaming, more hating through the evening and into the night. 15 since 95. Rocks thrown, bottles thrown, broken glass was hurled at cops. 15 since 95. By 1 a.m., on Monday, April 9th, while Powell and Rice were working to free detained Americans, the Blacktivists had achieved what they were pushing for, the typical post-civil rights era expression of urban rage when it unilaterally deems itself wronged, burning of businesses, looting of businesses, indiscriminate violence against whites and non-blacks, yanked from cars, beaten near to death. Does that sound familiar in the last few days, ladies and gentlemen? Does that sound like some of the things that you've seen either here in New York City or in the days after the Carmelo with a K verdict? They ready to tear shit up in the name of Carmelo with a K. They ready. You've already seen video of people losing their shit and beating the shit out of white people at these Knicks watch parties. There was one in Bryant Park that was especially bad. Right behind the public library off of Fifth Avenue. Bryant Park is between Fifth Avenue and Sixth Avenue and 40th Street and 42nd Street. Y'all saw all that. Y'all see this shit all the time these days. This isn't new. Again, this is from 25 years ago. 25 years ago. Continuing. Simply rioting. If a gang of whites had done the same, the screams from the Blacktivists would have been of a roving racist pack. Remember what they did in Charlottesville, ladies and gentlemen? This was a precursor. They, the whites, would have been called a lynch mob. The Tiki Torch whites. Remember that in Charlottesville? But the rioters, these rioters from 25 years ago, were of color. What was begging to be heard by the rampaging mob was some tacit approval from the self-appointed HNICs that burning and beating and stealing were the way to go. And they've been doing that with this Carmelo with a K situation, folks. You've had black women on television talking about black folk who should lie during voir dire to get on juries involving black defendants. And for what? You got to keep you got to keep black man out of jail. Even if the evidence is greatly against you. You got to keep black man out of jail. Racial solidarity. Heliodora says, at first I thought body cameras were mandatory to protect the public from rampant police, from rampant police wall of silence killings. You would think. After a couple of years watching body cam footage, I realized police put up with way more danger than I can conceive of. You and most others. You are not the only one to come to that conclusion. Oh yeah. Yeah. Listen, the whole body cameras on police officers will go down as one of the greatest self-owns of the left in history. Because for one brief shining moment, leftists believe their own bullshit. And you listen, you know the pro-Democrat blacks certainly believe their own bullshit on this. They truly believe that all of the body cameras and all of that we would just get all this information, because for years, folks, when it came to the whole police brutality phenomenon, right, where every other day, it's every other week, it seemed we were getting inundated with this black man got shot by the police, that black man got shot by the police. All of the videos. Thinking back, all of those videos had one thing in common. They all started in the moment of the incident. None of them had any context attached to them whatsoever, but it was all they needed. All they needed in the moment was just simply the body hitting the floor. That is why George Floyd's supposed death on camera sparked as many riots as it did. Because Derek Chauvin, who should be freed, by the way, because he did not kill George Floyd. George Floyd died of a fentanyl overdose after he was apprehended. And fuck you to every single one of you grifters out there who said otherwise. George Floyd died because the hold that Chauvin had on him was as prolonged as it was. It created the narrative, and we caught that. The video was basically from it was like she was fumbling for a phone as she was seeing all this happen, and the girl that filmed all of that. So there was no context. And that was how the anti-police movement, that was how Black Lives Matter was able to make the inroads that it did for the better part of 15 years. Well, 10 years, really. Heliodora says, again, that is a big part of what changed me from liberal to right-leaning. I recognized the media narrative was affecting me and my preconceptions. Yes. Yes. I actually found myself, true story, I found myself unable to stomach MSNBC in 2021. Like, I had voted for Biden, but I was already seeing that the glazing from the corporate media of the Biden administration was going to just be it was starting to get a little sycophantic, especially, with Rachel Maddow. I used to watch Rachel Maddow all the time until I found out the bitch makes like $30 million a year for the sole purpose of driving her viewers nuts. That's the truth. Like Rachel Maddow is paid, well, now she's paid $25 million a year to drive her viewers crazy with the conspiracy theories and the fuck Trump 24/7, like all of this. Oh, I don't mean to make this a conversation between you and me and get main character syndrome, but this MSNBC stuff relates to my change from that's fine. Listen, please understand. Hold on a second. I love interacting with my audience. Okay. We love interacting with our audience. That's how we build. That's how we build this audience. And I appreciate this. I do. I love having conversation with y'all, man. I really do. I like it. I really do. Jumbie 9, it says, you wouldn't think the media would so brazenly lie, but they do. They do. They do. They lie about everything. I like Nicole Wallace on her show and watched it daily, believing Trump was colluding with Russia. Yeah, I was too. I watched them all the way through January 6th, where I was horrified. And then I started learning about Obama, Brennan, etc., and the conspiracy to make it look like collusion. It took me, a guy with an MBA and a journalism degree, 4 years to figure it all out. Brother, I am a college dropout. And it took me about 10 years to realize that not only was everything about Donald Trump, everything that the left had said about Donald Trump was a lie, but they ended up actually making a truth teller out of him on many, many occasions. And that's and listen, that's something, not to derail from the piece, but that's something that a lot of people, when I tell them that Donald Trump was made a truth teller out of, they don't like when I say that. Like, it's literally like it's like you've splashed holy water on their face when you tell them that. Yes, you made a the Democrats made a truth teller out of Donald Trump, and there is and the fact is that is why I became right coded, if you want to kind of borrow some of their words. I'm a constitutionalist. I've always been a believer in the Constitution. I am a constitutionalist first. Whoever, and my support is ultimately for any political party or for anyone who supports protects, and defends the Constitution of the United States. And Democrats are no longer, well, I doubt they were ever interested. But honestly, at this very moment, Democrats they're not interested in that. Democrats are just not interested in doing anything except dismantling as much of the Constitution as possible. They want to pack the courts. They want to pack the Supreme Court. They want to put 5 more justices on there, or 4 more. They want to put 4 more justices on the Supreme Court. They want 2 more states. They want to turn Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. into states. They want to bring all of the old thing back. Okay. I'm talking USAID. They want to build the behemoth again. And if they win in 2028, they will do that. They will pursue it to no end. Believe you me. If they win the midterms, if Democrats win the midterms, they will render Trump absolutely useless. They will render the second Trump term absolutely useless. And that is the goal out of these people. That is the goal. Continuing, I've watched TV news since before November 22nd, 1963. I've seen the lies grow like weeds. I bet you have, sir. 1963. Jesus Christ. The deception on the whole is actually, it is. I mean, listen. Any deception, any corporate media deception. Listen, you have people in our country right now in the year of our Lord 2026 who are still wearing masks everywhere they go. You have men in dresses going into women's bathrooms on a regular basis. I have never seen so many trans identifying males in New York. Well, it's New York, I get it, but there's a lot of these motherfuckers down here now. These people were given free reign, and they are all like all these people, like, again, 2 weeks to stop the spread turned into 2 months. Then 2 months turned into 4 months. And then 4 months turned into 8. We all watch this. And there are people, I saw one on the train to work one day who was in full fucking COVID kit, had the KN95, had on the latex gloves, and was knocked out on the subway train. In 2026, people are nuts. Their minds are broken, and their minds were broken by the corporate media. And that's what people don't want to talk about. Continuing, what was begging to be heard by the rampaging mob was some tacit approval from the self-appointed HNICs, the head niggas in charge, that burning and beating and stealing were the way to go. Approval was given. Kwesi Mfume, a fellow native of Baltimore, real name Frizzell Gray, who was the president and CEO of the NAACP, granted that Cincinnati, Ohio was the quote-unquote belly of the whale. Al Sharpton, he who is the high self-appointed HNIC of a constituency that no longer exists, demanded the feds take control of Cincy's police, of all America's cops. The big house of the liberal plantation, the New York Times, opined that economic discrimination was at the heart of the riot, though it failed to explain why poor whites rarely did the same. The Blacktivists of Cincy got what they wanted. Some old school R-card shysters doing some fire fueling with platitudes and the war cry, 15 since 95. On the surface, the numbers held up. At the hands of the police, 15 black men had died since 1995. But the stats didn't reflect fact. Have you had a chance to meet some of the 15 poster kids of cop abuse in Cincinnati? Say hey to Harvey Price, who hacked up his girlfriend's daughter with an axe. I'll read that again. Say hey to Harvey Price, who hacked up his girlfriend's daughter with an axe. She was 15. Harvey got shot when he refused to surrender peaceably. Went at tactical cops with a knife. Give a yo to Mr. Jeffrey Irons. Confronted for stealing a few bucks and toiletries, Irons responded by grabbing a cop's gun, shooting the officer in the hand. Another officer, options up, looking to avoid worse, shot and killed Irons. Can I get a what up for Daniel Williams? In February of 1998, Danny flagged down Officer Kathleen Conway's cop car, then punched her in the face, then shot her 4 times with a .357 Magnum. After all that, Conway managed to fire back, I would safely say in self-defense, killing Williams. The final count of those 15 since 95, 12 had threatened arresting officers' lives with some type of weapon before they were killed. 7 of those 12 threatened cops with guns. 4 cops were killed or wounded in making those arrests in a period when 3 Cincy cops had been killed in 3 years. But facts don't serve the cause, much like the Carmelo Anthony situation, because them niggas love talking about how Carmelo Anthony was convicted by an all-white jury. Why wasn't there no black people on that jury? Because the blacks all said they couldn't rule objectively. That's what they said. All the blacks during voir dire in the jury selection period, all of them said we could not rule objectively. Because none of them wanted to put anybody with a little bit of melanin in their skin. They didn't want to put another black man in jail, which always seems to be the way these things go. I mean, sure, good for them for being honest. I mean, absolutely. But but here's the thing. It's just like John Ridley said. It's just like Ridley says here in the piece. The facts don't serve the cause. Say that again about the black voir dire. Okay, so from what I understand about this case, about the Carmelo with a K Anthony case, there were 4 black potential juror candidates who made it to like the advanced part, like the advanced voir dire takes place in stages. For those of you who, if you ever had jury duty, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. 4 black people who tried to get, who were, were in the running to be selected. They all said they could not rule objectively because of who the case involved. Like I said, they all tried because that was a moment of honesty, and by law they have to be honest. And so you ended up with no black people on the jury. Now, you did have other people of color on the jury, But because there wasn't any black people, all of a sudden, to Carmelo Anthony supporters, it was an all-white jury. Because, niggas don't read. Niggas don't know how to be objective. Everything's about race. Everything is all about two things. Staying black and voting Democrat. That's all it is for these motherfuckers. That's all it is. That is wild, gobsmackingly wild. Yes, yeah, and yeah, thanks for the honesty, but how much of it was self-serving to protect them from backlash? Good question. Because I'm honestly waiting. I mean, I said in my post in a video I made earlier today, I said, there are 4 witnesses. There were 4 witnesses who testified against Carmelo Anthony. I haven't seen any. I pray that they're still safe, but I haven't heard of any cases of these people, fucking with him. And I hope it stays that way. But no doubt that, yeah, the Jumpy says, no doubt they were worried about the backlash. Of course they were. Niggas be wildin', bro. 3 days of chaos. Hold on. 3 days of chaos. Nearly $4 million in damage to the city, most of it in predominantly black areas that could ill afford economic downturn. Record levels of homicides, particularly among blacks, as the police, hamstrung by new rules of engagement, could no longer effectively protect the very people who had demonized them. What does that sound like, folks? Well, goddamn, that sounds a lot like Freddie Gray. That sounds a lot like 2015 in Baltimore. When Freddie Gray, the son of heroin addicts, a fucking scammer, decided to try his hand at injuring himself yet again to get some money out the police. He hurt himself a little too much and ended up dying. And he ended up hurting himself to the point where they had to run him to hospital. But the Freddie Gray riots in Baltimore tore up all of West Baltimore and put a curfew all across the city. And then afterwards, because the Ferguson effect, because them whores from Black Lives Matter had changed the rules of engagement in Ferguson, Missouri, after the Mike Brown incident. You had almost 350 murders in Baltimore City in the year of 2015. Just like Ridley wrote. Rules of engagement got changed, and these motherfuckers decided, the cops were like, no, we can't do this. And that's how you go from that's how you go from 200 and some murders a year to almost 350. George Floyd riots, Minnesota in March. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Baltimore was a mess during Freddie Gray. It was a mess. They tore up Pennsylvania, the intersection of Pennsylvania Avenue and East North Avenue in Baltimore City still carries some of the scars from the Freddie Gray riot. I'll read it again. 3 days of chaos. Nearly $4 million in damage to the city, most of it in predominantly black areas that could ill afford economic downturn. Record levels of homicides, particularly among blacks, as the police, hamstrung by new rules of engagement, could no longer effectively protect the very people who had demonized them. It was a mess. The Blacktivists, they would call it victory. The night of April 11th, 4/11/01, was the worst of the rioting in Over the Rhine. Low lights included a cop shot, a state of emergency declared. The next day, 4/12/01, while Cincy was still calming down, the detained U.S. crew got loaded onto a commandeered Continental Airlines jet, were flown from Hainan to Guam, Guam to Hawaii. The patience, the intelligence of two blacks had set them free. But for Powell and Rice, there was no reaction from the greater or lesser black community. None from lefty America. Energy drained by the orgy of appeasement it had been forced to offer up over Cincinnati, the best the black establishment and the national media could or would toss Dr. Condi and Colin was a collective shrug. A dismissive act, the effect of which was to minify the significance of their accomplishment. And maybe in early 2001, it didn't matter so much. After averting crisis, there were sure to be other achievements. But, things change. 9/11, the towers came down. The Pentagon got opened up. A hole was made in a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The war in Afghanistan, the war in Iraq, and Hainan was officially forgotten. No more. No more can we allow the crowning moment in our history to live in shadow, just as we cannot allow the deeds of our most accomplished to be overshadowed by the antics of our least ambitious. Near the end of his mortal existence, Dr. Martin Luther King, that fucking communist, famously queried, "Where do we go from here? Chaos or community?" Over the Rhine was chaos. Is this what we choose for ourselves? To continue as the ungodly construct of victim and aggressor? Seems like that's what's happening now. Seems like that's what's happening right now. Seems like that's what's happening. Near the end, where do we go from here? Chaos or community? Over the Rhine was chaos. Is this what we choose for ourselves? To continue as the ugly, ungodly construct of victim and aggressor? That's where we're at. Was the hands up? Was that the hands up, don't shoot bullshit? Yes. When it comes to the Mike Brown incident, yes. But Ridley was right. Ridley's absolutely right. This got quickly. The accomplishment of Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice got quickly forgotten about. Even 25 years later, ain't nobody checking for this shit. Don't nobody know. It's unfortunate. It really is. Continuing, we're almost done. I say there is only one direction for us to travel, the path already set. Dr. Condi and Colin are exceptional, but not unique. Empirically, Hainan wasn't a one-off. With the pair as waypoints by which to plot a course, our collective ascension will be assured. Undoubtedly, knees will jerk over this contention. The Reverends Al and Jesse and all those who judge actions by the single criterion of how they affect the remnants of the movement will ask, these two are your knee plus ultra blacks? These two who cave to the will of the right? Powell, whose dog and pony show at the UN revealed his true bent. Rice, whose Why We Know Iraq is Lying for the New York Times showed her lack of spine. These two who sent America off to folly in Iraq, I say yes. Black America must look to that lost moment and realize that short of a brother or sister actually being elected president, which obviously did happening with the election of Barack Obama, Hainan was the high water mark of Black political power. And whether Operation Iraqi Freedom is ultimately good and right and just, or if it is lousily named and uniformly disastrous, what is essential is that Dr. Condi and Colin earned for themselves positions from which to sway public debate. That is power. Dr. Condi and Colin Powell personify what niggers have forgotten. All that matters is accomplishment. The very pinnacle of ascendancy is the ability to live and work without regard for the sentiments in others and with, as Sister Ayn Rand would tell us, a selfish virtue. I'm going to read that last one. This one right here. Dr. Condi and Colin personify what niggers have forgotten. All that matters is accomplishment. The very pinnacle of ascendancy is the ability to live and work without regard for the sentiments of others and with, as Sister Rand would tell us, a selfish virtue. Elon Musk became the world's first trillionaire today with that SpaceX initial public offering. And what do you think the first thing of these fucking animals in the Democrat Party machine, what do you think the first thing they started going, especially the communists, all of them almost in unison were like, we need to make sure that Elon Musk is the last trillionaire to ever exist. Because see, these are people who honestly believe that any riches came from exploitation. Any riches you earn, these people believe this, any riches you earn come from exploitation. And it is their job, they see this, when you listen to Zoran talk about, when you listen to the mayor of New York City and all these other fucking Democrats talk about how trillionaires shouldn't exist, billionaires shouldn't exist. These are people who are born with silver spoons in their mouths, which is bad enough. But the fact that they genuinely believe that they, the government, should be able to tax trillionaires and billionaires into oblivion, just so they could really, all they're going to do is take whatever tax money and use it to enrich their own friends and their own little pet projects, because that's all these fucking animals do. This is how you end up in situations where all the bike lane people, they get whatever the fuck they want in New York City. DOT, the Department of Transportation Alternatives, they are completely and totally bought. The nonprofits own them, but you can't do anything about it because the city just gives them whatever they want. Zoran gives them whatever they want. The reason why, and I'm going to say this, and yes, I completely agree, Jumbie. This is very well written, and this is exactly how weak people talk. Yes, you're absolutely correct. And the problem is right now we've got too many weak people in power right now. These people worship government. They don't want people owning anything. If no trillionaires, what they hate is the ability, they hate individualism most of all. I can tell you right now, it was my brother's calling me. I'll call him right back. It was who was it? Lost my train of thought. It was William Beck. It was Billy Beck who said, he's the one who taught me this phrase, the individual is the most oppressed minority in the world. That's a fact. When you listen to these people out here, when you listen to these animals, whether it's the situation with Carmelo with a K, Anthony, or it's with Democrats and this whole like taxing Elon Musk into oblivion, whether it's punk bitches like Zoran, essentially trying to struggle session billionaires into giving up more money. Eventually, what happens is they're going to define wealth downward until it's anybody who owns a car, who owns a home, who maybe even wears glasses. And that's what we're dealing with. 100%. They worship government when it is run by people they see in the mirror. Absolutely. These people have been the bane of human existence for 100 years. Listen, Eric Raymond already said what he want to do to communists. Eric S. Raymond as the best, like the spirit of McCarthy runs deep with that one. Philosophically, I cannot argue with that statement. Our individuality is always under threat. It absolutely is. Let me finish this up and we can get out of here for the night. Let's see. We came up from slavery to freedom without regard for the Constitution, which gave us nothing, and the plantation masters who gave us the whip. We came up from oppression to civil rights without regard for hurled bricks and sick police dogs, water hoses, the word nigger. This then is my directive. Let us achieve with equal disregard for the limitations of racism and the weight of those of us who threaten to drag all of us down with the clinging nature of their eternal victimization. I'm going to read that again. Let us achieve with equal disregard for the limitations of racism and the weight of those of us who threaten to drag all of us down with the clinging nature of their eternal victimization. Our preservation is too essential to be stunted by those unwilling to advance. And in my heart, I don't believe all blacks cannot achieve in this absence of aid any more than I believe the best way to teach a child to run is by forcing him to spend a lifetime on his knees. As long as we remain committed to holding high our individuals of supreme finish, others will be inspired to loose themselves of the gravity of the waywards and downtrodden. Once free, they will rise. They will drift high toward the attainments of which we are invariably capable, being better fathers and husbands and lovers, better mothers and daughters, sisters and best friends. We will rise to the simple obligation of taking care of our own with the same dedication we will give to improving our community and country and our world. Yes, our influence will extend so. Where do we go from here? The only direction we can. The new Black America will ascend. Wherever you are, John Ridley, I want you to know that this piece has inspired me for all these years. This post, this wonderful polemic has inspired me. It has dictated much of my own racial politics. As a Black man, I see it very, very often. I see it when you look at how individuality is completely bled out from the Black community. There are no, anytime you hear, you ain't standing with your people. When they shame Black people, when they shame fellow Blacks into voting the way that they want them to or supporting the candidates that they want them to, calling him a coon, calling him an Uncle Tom, calling him, whatever. You see the collectivists. They don't use man or woman anymore. They don't use individual singular terminology anymore. They always talk about the Black community, Black people, as if we're some socio-political blob that's all supposed to think, act, do, and move in one direction. That's communism. That's race communism right there. And the one thing I really want for people to understand is that this is what they want. For this is this is unsustainable. It's unsustainable. We have to break free from this for our own good. We have to break free from this because, listen, these people are dedicated to our enslavement. They want things to remain the same. They want the status quo to be Black folk vote Democrat in perpetuity. Black folk stay victims. We don't talk about nothing else. We are victims. The thing about Carmelo Anthony, the reason why they are going as crazy as they have been over Carmelo Anthony is because for the first time they saw a Black person being held accountable for their actions, being held accountable in a court of law. We're talking about a young man who stabbed Austin Metcalf in the heart for absolutely nothing. We are talking about a child whose parents grifted over $700,000 and lived high on the hog over this. How dare we sit and watch this? There is no community. There is no solidarity with that. There cannot be solidarity with such debauchery. I'm sorry, you can't have that. I do not want to engage with that. I do not want, as a black man with a black wife, with black nieces and nephews, I do not want my family involved in, if that is what it means, if that is solidarity, I want no parts of it. No black person should be standing on the side of the road demanding the release of a boy who was convicted, rightly convicted in a court of law of murder, who got off. Who, I won't say he got off, but he got a very, very lenient sentence because the boy could have gotten the death penalty. He could have been put away for life. But by the grace of God, he got that. And you have all these ungrateful niggas out there at that courthouse talking about they want to kill Austin. They want to kill Austin Metcalf's dad. They want to kill his twin brother. They want to just do everything. I've seen pictures of these mongrels going to Austin Metcalf's grave and peeing all over it. You really think God's going to bless that? Ain't no fucking way I'd ever stand with that. And you know why? Because of pieces like John Ridley, the Manifesto of Ascendancy. Because it's pieces like that that let us know that this is an historical, there is history. There is historical precedent for this kind of nonsense. And unless we understand how to combat this foolishness, we are just going to repeat this cycle constantly. I don't want to do that, and I don't think any of you do either. And with that, I thank you all for stopping in. Again, if you support the show, if you support me and want to and would like to buy me a couple bags of coffee, please make sure you either hit the tip jar for those of you who are on X, hit the tip icon in my bio, my X bio. If you're listening on stream here, you can also just scan the QR code in the top left corner of your screen. I want to thank y'all for joining me. I want to thank Heliodorus04 for stopping in, Jumby9 at WASD. I want to thank Mr. Beck for joining us, and Mr. Durkan, thank you so much I want to thank all of you guys for coming in and really and just keeping me company tonight. I greatly appreciate it. So I will see you next Tuesday. No, I am not calling you I am not calling anybody a cunt. But yes, you will see me. Mr. Beck will be in the building on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Looking forward to a great show. Love y'all. Have a great night.